Hello and welcome back to another new edition of Windows on Current Affairs. And today we're going to be talking about Aswan, one of the most beautiful, charming spots in Egypt and almost in the whole Arab world in the Middle East. For people who haven't visited Aswan, you've missed a lot. Not only because it occupies one of the best strategic important locations in Egypt. It also possesses lots of monuments, lots of history, lots of artifacts, lots of scenery, River Nile, hotels over the River Nile. The weather is beautiful, and you also have lots of festivities, Nubian history, and of course Pharaoh history, you name it. And of course it's the Upper Egypt, and you have the Upper Egypt culture, and you have the Nubian folklore, Upper Egypt folklore. You know, it's a combination of something that is so spicy and nice and very attractive. Of course, today we're going to be talking about thinking of choosing Aswan to be selected or nominated as the capital for the Arab tourism. Of course, there is no better place, no matter how rich, no matter how spent money in it, better than Aswan to be chosen as the #1 spot to be visited for any tourist. And today we're going to be talking about that and more in Egypt, and very delighted to have with me here my dear guest, Rana Ihab. She is a heritage researcher. Good evening, Rana.
Good evening. Always happy to be here actually with you. So I'm so excited for this episode, especially when we'll talk about Aswan.
Of course, thank you so much. It's a real pleasure to have you here, Rana, and also talking about Aswan. Before we delve into details, let's talk about Aswan as a beautiful spot to be visited. I mean, people who are watching us who probably haven't visited Egypt and haven't seen Aswan, foreigners, people who only see it in pictures and on social media, we should be elaborating and explaining to the viewers how beautiful and exceptional is the place on the map. Why is Aswan so exceptional as a country?
Because it's,
as a city, I mean.
Exactly. In Aswan, we have a lot of amazing
things. Because Aswan is not a country.
Of amazing things in one place. So we can see the green areas, we can see the amazing of the Nile River there, we can see the monuments, we can see the mix between the desert and the Nile River in a beautiful scene that not repeated even in all Egypt again. So this is one of things that we can talk about, the natural of Aswan itself. But if we dated back for Aswan and its strategic place for the trade with the Egyptian, anyone from ancient Egyptian kings want to build actually something great statues. He want to make a rocks for a pyramid or something. He going to Aswan to take the granite from this place. So it is specialized with a lot of raw materials, even that from the ancient time and the ancient Egyptian time, and also that's actually lead us to the name of Aswan, which is people called it as the land of gold, because we have a lot of gold, a lot of mines in Aswan, quarries. This is a rich country actually. This is a rich in raw material, but also in history. How many amazing places in Aswan related to the ancient Egyptian time, related to the Greek and Roman time, related to even the Islamic time also, and the Coptic, and we can see the amazing mix between the religion and peace there. When we are talking in the episode during the all historical sites in Aswan and the museums, also the green area, the green large area, even the islands in Aswan itself. So each steps in Aswan, and when you breathe the air of it and you see the beautiful scene, you will make a meditation for yourself. for yourself, even without any moves, but by looking at the amazing views and the beautiful scenes inside the Aswan itself, the islands. Even you are walking on the Corniche, actually the pathway long of the Nile, taking the boat, taking the cruise. Actually, we are now working on the Nile cruises between Cairo to Aswan, between Luxor and Aswan. You can see the temples in the middle of the Nile River, which is actually more than amazing.
So when we ask visitors who have visited Aswan and they come back again, they keep coming every year, the first thing that they would say is that they like the cruises. They love the idea of the separated islands, different islands, historical islands that are there, where you can visit monuments, where you have, each of them has a story, each of them have a different plant, types of plants to see. Another one that is related to the history of a personality that is buried there, and there is his wife that goes, and you know, the saga is continuing and the story is continuing until this very moment, as it is related every time everybody visits that island. Lots of stories, and not only the history, not only the temples that are there, not only the statues, very, very popular statues that talks about royal dynasties back then in the ancient time. But it's a lot of stories. They talk about the aroma of the places.
Yes, exactly.
And the spices that you could smell when you walk into markets, the Nubian markets, you know. It's too many things in one time. Where would we start?
We can start about the ancient Egyptian places that we can visit in Aswan. So when we are thought about our separated island, we will take the boat to visit the temples, which is amazing journey during our visit. So if you want to visit Fila Temple, for example, you have to take a boat from the shores to arrive to the Fila Temple, which is amazing place. You can see only a temple in separated island, and you can see how amazing, and the artifacts of the glossy columns, the inscriptions there, the idea of worshipping for the Hathor and Isis. You can see amazing places. The most beautiful thing actually we can visit in Fila Temple when we are arriving to the Sanctuary part, the Holy of Holies. How the darkness and the smooth light come into small windows and small holes to this room, to add the value of sanctuary thing or the holy thing inside that. How you can see the following of the cultures that happened in this place especially. So sometimes we can see the cross curved inside this temple with the ancient Egyptian language in general. So that's actually amazing. The most known scene we can see in the photos and in the social media in general, when the people took the picture with the ancient Egyptian language in general, and with the window looking for the Nile River. Actually, this is something amazing. This is the people visit this place especially to take, and the people call this place as the door of heaven, because actually it's look like heaven. You see the Nile River, the sunlight with the waves, and you see the ancient civilization, the history that are written inside these walls, and you see that you want to take a picture, and you didn't need anything other from the life to seeing this scene actually. And if we are going to visit another islands there in Aswan, for sure we have to talk about Elephantine Island. It's called Elephantine Island because in the old time, yes,
it's given that name.
Yes, it's in the old time. It's a place market for the ivory of the elephants. So for that reason, it's called Elephantine. Which
it used to be a place, a market for the ivory,
yes.
but given the note, that we would like to note and stress over that there is no ivory trade inside
Exactly.
Egypt, because Egypt is a civilized country and it does not abuse animals, and it
For
respects
sure.
the rights of animals, because ivory trade is prohibited and it's against the rights of animals. I'm
Yes.
sorry, I had to
No,
interrupt.
no, no, for sure. For the,
It
that's
is just a
reason.
name.
Yes, exactly. It's just a name. Then we can see inside the Elephantine Island a museum. We can see temples for Khnum, who is the god who has the key of the Nile River in ancient Egyptian thought. And we have amazing Nilometer there for the Nile River management measures, sorry. So this is amazing thing actually, and this Nilometer was using from the old time, from the ancient Egyptian when they are moving to take this island till this moment. It was used by ancient Egyptians. So we have a language there. We have a Demotic, and we have also the Greek, and we have the Arabic one, which is mean that until the Islamic period, it was used to take the measurements of the Nile River. If we have flooding, if it will be not enough water for the people who's working. So that's actually amazing thing about this island, and also as usual the beautiful scenes there. And what is amazing, the excavation in this island is still take a place till this moment. So we discovered a lot of things. One of the
Even
fantastic
until
things.
today?
Yes, exactly.
We're totally familiar with excavations in Cairo, in Midtown Cairo, and downtown Cairo.
Exactly.
But in the islands also there are
And the island also, we have what we discovered also there is a big settlement. So people said ancient Egyptian used to thought about their nether life and the life after death. They didn't care about their house. And this island we discovered a great settlement actually, and it's also talking about how Egyptians live till this moment. If I will build a building for all my sons, for all my daughters to be in the one place, it's the same idea from the ancient Egyptian time. And also we discovered the footprint of the people who's moving during this area from ancient Egyptian, because this is still when it's a clay or the mud is still raw, so he stopped then at that. So we can see the footprint of the people who's working and maybe the people who's living there. So for that reason, this is amazing island. Also we have a museum there, and in the museum we have a papyri that talk about the ancient Egyptian marriage in general, and how the man should be respect his women. And this is very important point.
It talks about the arrangements of pharaoh marriage
Is
and also instructions to lead a happy life.
exactly, for sure. What you have to do, how you want to work with her in the house, and how to help her. And this
The
is
values
amazing.
for ancient people.
Yes, exactly. This is very
They were very
amazing.
civilized.
And also the inscriptions there for Queen Hatshepsut also, it's amazing. And this is about the island in general. So we have to visit the more than these places to understand the culture and the heritage of ancient Egypt. If we are talking about the Nilometer in general, because I love this place so much, so you can take the ladder to the Nile River, down to the Nile River, and you will go up. And you see in the wall in the right and the left the measurements, the numbers in Arabic and Demotic and the Greek. You understand how the ancient understand what will happen after many few years. So they planned for the future. Every time they planned for the future, like what we hope and what we are doing at this moment. We are also planning for the future. And also one of the amazing and fantastic places in Aswan, unfinished obelisk. So The obelisk in general, it was made in the 5th dynasty to represent the sun god Ra. But when we are doing unfinished, a great and a massive obelisk like that, they found, ancient Egyptian, they found a cracks and something not good in the obelisk, so they didn't want to complete it. For that reason, it's called unfinished obelisk. It's unfinished obelisk from the time of ancient Egypt, not for a reason or maybe a political or economical reason, no, but because they found the cracks in the obelisk itself. So this is what was made for Queen Hatshepsut, and when they found that, they leave it as, but actually they are left a great evidence for how the ancient Egyptian made the obelisks, because it's very massive, and it contains many inscriptions and hieroglyphs. So the cutting of the obelisk and how they take it off from the granite to create other things, here is actually the meaning of how the workers in ancient Egypt work hard. They are hard worker in general, and how they are doing a lot of amazing things like that actually.
That's true. But also talking about the scenery, I mean, of course, when you visit a country or you go to spend some holidays in a place, the scenery and the view from any hotel, I mean, booking a hotel, 100% attraction is the view and scenery from that hotel. Imagine you're booking a hotel and staying in a hotel when it's overlooking all what you've been talking about, those islands, the River Nile in the early morning and by sunset, and also the places and all the stories that you talked about and all those markets, you see it from the hotel. So what type of environment or experience does any tourist go through when they stay in a hotel in Aswan?
Actually, talking about the hotels in general, if also we are using cruises, and you open your window and
those are also hotel.
Yes, exactly. And you open your window and see how the amazing of the mix between the desert and the archaeological site and the high place and the Nile River. It's actually fantastic, amazing thing. This is something make your mind clear to think about the thinking, and this point in general. Some people visit Aswan, they didn't like to visit the cultural places or the historical. Okay, you can enjoy with the fluke and the Nile River. You can enjoy with the scene of the desert. Actually, you can enjoy also with the green island areas. If you didn't like all of that and you like to be with the people, you can visit also Nubian village, which is amazing. And you cannot imagine how the people friendly in this place.
Inside the Nubian village. To our knowledge also that the Nubian village also hosts some residence for people. This is something that lately has been going on. It is providing some visitors with residence overlooking the Nile. I mean, what type of residence? How do they host residents? And what exactly is the experience staying in those residences? Do they stay with families, or they run those residences, stay for a week or something?
The type of houses in this place is very large. So each one, they are sitting in the one house, but with many rooms inside. So they can take their own rooms, actually, and when they take their breakfast, their lunch, or whatever, they join into this family. Which is one of the Egyptian traditions. Each day we gathering family together to eat lunch, to eat a breakfast. So this is the idea that can offer to them. Actually, that's not only about the residents, it's also about when they offer a cup of tea or a cup of coffee. They said for not to take money, but they actually welcoming you to be in their place. So this is the Nubian people in that place, how they are friendly, how they are have a big smile all the time, how they are living in peace because of the natural around them actually helped them to doing that. And talking about the Nubian people, they have also their own languages, which is not known for the Egyptian. It's only between the Nubian people and the children there, so they are talking with it all the time. It's one of the Egyptian heritage, and this is very, very important.
Also among the nice experiences, because as we know that gastronomy as a type of tourism is very important to some people also.
Yes.
And there are special nationalities that visit some countries because of the cuisine. So the Nubian cuisine, the experience of the Nubian cuisine and the reviews about Nubian food, Nubian drinks, and especially the dry food of Nubian, the dry fruits and the peanuts done roasted in a special way. All that is quite an experience for some people. So talk to us about the Nubian food.
Yes, the Nubian food, one of, actually if we are talking about the Nubian food, it have the same taste of the Egyptian food. There is not a big difference, but the way and the recipe, it's changing in sometimes. For that reason, they have, and also Aswan, at our beginning of talks, we talk about it's a trade center in general. So they have a lot of amazing spices that make the food is more tasty. They are different special recipes, and some people didn't like to talk about the recipe as a kind of their heritage, and they want to take they want their children actually take this point or take this recipe to be cooked by them, not cooked by others who's strangers maybe, but they are friendly, and when you ask it about the recipe for something or for Nubian food, they will add for your knowledge, and they actually will do it for sure. Actually, in the Nubian places, when we are talk about the house in general, we will find also they have a crocodile as a pet animal.
Crocodiles at home or by
Yes.
the river on the banks of the
No,
Nile?
crocodile inside their home as a pet. Okay.
Okay.
So
But do they live on land? I mean,
yes, and in the house they doing a special place for the crocodile from its young till it's become very big. They go to swim with them in the Nile River. That show how the Nubian also very, very strong, and that's in that point how they can deal with a wild animal like a crocodile in their homes and in their houses, which is also amazing. Their colored house, also one of the fantastic things.
the prints and the graffiti over the houses is also very remarkable.
Yes, yes, and through your walking, you will find Nubian words on the houses and on the places itself. That because they are very proud of their, we are very proud of our culture in general. So
People have observed the drawings. You talked about the graffiti over the Nubian houses, and they have noticed and in their reviews that those drawings and those graffitis and words and songs reflected Nubian stories and Nubian traditions. I mean, expressions of Nubian traditions. Some signals, Nubian signals for a tradition, for a song. They also write songs.
Yes,
What
for
is the
sure.
story about the graffiti over the house?
The graffiti, they want to show their words, they want to show their language, they want to show themselves in these words. Actually, that happened also from the time of ancient Egypt. Talking about the graffiti in Aswan in general, we have amazing graffiti in the monastery of Anva Sam'an, which is amazing because the people who is going to Mecca in that in the time of pilgrim, so they are going to Aswan, set the Muslims people going to Aswan, set in this monastery for 3 days, and the monastery give them the food, give them the drinks until they are ready for their journey to cross the Red Sea to arrive to Mecca. So in the graffiti inside this monasteries from the Muslims people, they are thanking the people who inside the monastery for their welcoming. And here we can see how Egypt is amazing with the religion. It's we didn't care if you are a Muslim or a Christian, but we care of you because you are a human. Here is the point. We all Egyptian, and we can do all of that together. So they are helping the people here, and we are offering for them the thanking and the, how beautiful the stay inside. So this is also considered as a graffiti.
Yes, this is another element or characteristics of the Egyptian character, and a lot more is coming up after this short break, so stay with us. Welcome back, and as we're back, we were talking about Aswan, that is nominated for sure 100% as the capital for tourism in the Middle East and in the Arab world. And with us, of course, live here in the studio is our dear guest, Rana Ihab, the heritage researcher. And Rana, we were talking about the privileges of visiting Aswan. Of course, we have very little time left, but also we have too many things still to talk about. You want to talk about the museums, because yesterday marked the museum day. We want to talk about Abu Simbel. We want to talk about the spirit of Aswan, which is amongst all. I know it's not that as precious as the monuments and as the artifacts and temples and everything, but it's very, very remarkable. So let us just have a quick look over everything.
Yes, if we are talking about the separate in Aswan, this is something we cannot describe, because when we are in Aswan, we can feel it only. So the word is not enough actually to describe the feeling when we are arrived to Aswan and look like the Nile River, the sunlight. And actually Aswan is a beautiful place in the winter. So the sun there is not that strong, but it's warm city to visit. It's an amazing place in the winter and in the summer actually, because we have the hotels prepared by a lot of things actually. And if we are talking about one of the amazing things that's about Aswan, for sure we know Agatha Christie, the known writer. She wrote a lot of amazing novels. One of the novels actually, she take the separate of the novel from the views of Aswan, from the Nile River, from the trees there. So she wrote her first amazing novel about death on the Nile. So all the thinking about
full of mystery.
Exactly, it's taken from there. Agatha Christie lived in Aswan, and she loved the history of this palace, and she started to inspire her to write novels, and which is amazing actually. And talking about the temple of Abu Simbel, the temple of King Ramses II and his wife, something we can know through the social media, through the pictures, through the documentaries. But when you stop in front of this temple and you see how the huge is this place, how the closer of the statue of the King Ramses II, and inside the temple, the great open doors and the scenes inside, when you arrive to the Holy of Holies in the end of this temple, and when you understand that the sun come on the face of the king twice a year, the measurements, and this is indicate us how the ancient Egyptian people knowing about the astronomy, knowing about the sun moving around, the earth moving actually around the sun, and the suitable place to make the sunrise and or the sunlight come on the face, especially if the Ramses II, the king of Egypt at that time. This is fantastic. So you will feel the history in this place. So Ramses II have a lot of statues, a lot of monuments, a lot of temples in whole Egypt, not only at Abu Simbel, but he have an idea for doing that. The idea is talking about this is the limits and this is the end and this is the borders of ancient Egyptian places. This is also amazing things talking about, and we know the great facade with the 4 statues for the king, and if we have a detailed look on the leg, we will find his children and his wife also. And the other side of this temple, we can see the amazing temple of his wife, and he wrote a beautiful sentence that the sun never sunset because of her beautiful face, which is a love story between the two king of Egypt and the queens, actually.
Yes, but also talking about the sun rays falling twice a year, falls over the face of the king and the statues. This, if it reflects something, it's a defiance of power.
Yes.
It's a reflection of power. It's a reflection of Renaissance. It's a reflection of lots of values that could be it could take years and years from historians to relate to people.
Yes,
and in
sure.
one flash of a second, once you observe those two statues, you just realize everything, that this is one of the most powerful dynasties, one of the most powerful histories on earth.
Exactly.
By doing such a minor little thing,
Yes,
an instant,
exactly.
twice a year.
Talking about
not only once a year,
twice a year. Some archaeologists and historians said that's twice a year because a day of his birth and day of his coronation as a king of Egypt. So that also reflects the power, as you mentioned.
It's architecture,
yes.
It's astronomy, it's all types
of
of
art
science.
also.
Art,
exactly.
vision,
it's a language, and
intelligence.
the sentences that are written inside the temple. It's about everything. If we are taking an example for a one temple or one tomb only in Aswan, that give us indicate how amazing and how the mind of ancient Egyptian people is great, actually. So we are great from that time till this moment. When we are talking about our history, we are very proud to talk about our history. We know every small details about the heritage, the culture, the traditions, because this is our heritage. So any small details, we can know it easily. So when some people or some archaeologists and scientists from other places, they take maybe a long time to understand why they are doing this point. But because we are Egyptian, we can notice this very easily. Here is the point, actually. Talking about the Ramses II and his statue, the one who is welcoming the visitors in the Grand Egyptian Museum. Also Ramses II with his closest statue, and the people who's working at the museum and the conservators also searching about idea and the type to make the sun rays happened or took a place in the Ramses II statue's face. Now the Grand Egyptian Museum, one of the massive projects, one of the greatest museum in all the world, not only in Egypt actually, or in Africa or in the Middle East, it's in all the world. The largest museum includes ancient Egyptian monuments in one places, and it's not about actually the monuments, it's about all the activities there. We have a lot of amazing things, and now there are programs for the children, programs for adults also. You can have a limit visit for this amazing place. Talking about the museums in Egypt, we are doing a lot of activities nowadays because of the International Day of the Museum. And we actually want to thank each person who preserve his heritage and talk about his heritage. We now doing our effort to make all the museum equal the international museums in general, even the old museum like what we have in the Egyptian Museum in Tahrir. The developing on the museum itself is amazing. We are developing in the way of the display, the developing and the labeling, also about the activities that happened for the adults and the children. And nowadays we care more about the children because they are the one who will talk about the heritage and the history for their children. Any child in the school, the first thing he tried to draw is the pyramids, which is talking about his ancestors and the people who lived from thousands of years to preserve this place for them. Also, he know about that. So this is also one of the amazing things about the museum.
On this note, unfortunately, we came to the end of the program, but however, we need to relate more. We're very curious to find out more about those treasures that we own, and we sleep and wake up every day to see them flourishing. Thank you so much, Rana Ihab. You are a heritage researcher, for coming over, sharing your valuable stories, your valuable research, and your valuable elaboration over the history of Egypt to the viewers. Thank you so much.
Thanks for you.
It was nice having you. And I guess this brings us to the end of this edition of Windows on Current Affairs. Many thanks to all of you. Until we see you again next week, that's a goodbye.